good founder has to have a lot of dedication and enough of flexibility to be able to reinvent itself. For me, this is the difference between the companies that are successful and companies that are go nowhere.
Levy Raiz, thank you so much for joining me. How are
David,
you?
thank you. Thanks for making this happen. It wasn't easy, I know.
I it wasn't easy, but I'm so glad that we made this happen with all the difficulties and the scheduling. And I believe that you mentioned after one of our mishaps, if it's really difficult, it means that it's really really good. So I'm going with that mindset
Well,
into this. Levy, let's talk about investments these 20 minutes. And you've had the privilege of sitting on numerous positions with venture capital funds, and you've seen countless entrepreneurs, and I'd love to sort of pick your brain from your experiences on some of the key insights that you've gained, whether it's about the type of person you like to invest in, or how does the whole pipeline look in your mind, or what entrepreneurs should be doing as they're approaching the fundraising. So, Levy, I'll let you take it from here. Tell me maybe a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
okay, let's start with that. So, in a few words about myself, I'm in VC for the last 8 years. Before that, I've been doing building companies myself. I had four companies so far. Two of them, one of them actually succeeded, and I sold it. Second one is also a success and still exists and working. I mean, making money, and two other ones
Wow.
I just miserably failed. So that was so I kind of learned
In what order, by the way? What was the order of them?
it was success, it was the failure, second kind of success, and then a failure. So the
I like that. I like the zigzag.
yep. So I always say it's better to fail fast. So and then rather than kind of drag it out for years. So that's my professional career, and 8 years ago, I've been privileged to be invited to join one of the VCs to become a partner in this VC. We've invested a lot of companies here in Israel, and I've been privileged to do some great investments and some really bad investments. And now these days I'm with Digital Horizon VC. We are an early stage firm. I'm venture partner dealing with all the deal flow in Israel. And I'm 34, married to another beautiful entrepreneur. We have three kids who are also probably look like they're very entrepreneurial.
Amazing.
That's me. That's me.
Levy, what differentiates between the good investments that you've made and the bad investments? The really good ones and the really bad ones. Is there some pattern recognition that you now understand looking back at the few that succeeded and the few that didn't succeed?
I think I think I can find some. There are a lot of factors that are kind of objective, and sometimes it's great team, great technology, and there is some just objective factor. Market timing is wrong, or something is there's something out there that is not dependent on us, which doesn't work. That happens all the time, and that's normal. But that's why
Right,
we invest into
right.
it. That's why it's called venture capital. We take risks. With the other cases, where it's more of a people's issue, I would say that the dedication of founders mixed with flexibility of their kind of mindset is that what I found is a crucial things. What I mean by that, there are a lot of you always trying to invest into a dedicated founder, but this founder is very dedicated and has no flexibility and is just going straight ahead, hitting the mountain head to head, sometimes it doesn't work, and you need to be flexible enough to accept this and to not go and just like be completely broken, but reinvent yourself. So those companies that succeed to reinvent themselves,
Right.
those are the good ones. The ones that kind of hit the wall and can't reinvent themselves, those are the ones that kind of die off. So that's the main difference, I would say. The good founder has to have a lot of dedication and enough flexibility to be able to reinvent itself. For me, this is the difference between the companies that are successful and companies that are go nowhere.
But how do you measure flexibility when you do, let's say a 3 week due diligence process? You meet the entrepreneur 4 or 5 times. How do you measure an entrepreneur's ability to be flexible? Because you're funding in the early stages, right? When you're essentially investing in the person. How do you measure
So
flexibility?
that's actually a great question. This is something that it took me at least time to learn and to figure it out. In real
Hmm.
life, what matters when you go and you meet a person, and when you actually have a more deeper conversations, when it's not just a pitch and they're just like pitching you the company, you're saying what do you think and so on, and move on. When you actually have a deeper conversations, and you meet the whole team and you see the dynamics between them, you see how they actually interact. Because usually people have a very different opinions. In early stage, if there is a strong team, there are always strong opinions, and there are two ways of kind of
Right.
those companies to work. Sometimes it's just a clash of opinions, and in the end, someone just says, you know what, like, okay, I'm the CEO, so I'll decide, and things are not heard much. Or in other things, you can see that
Right.
it's a very slight difference. The CEO is the final decision maker, because that's what you want from a CEO. But you see that he might be completely disagree with the other opinion, but he'll still consider it. So this slight
Right.
difference, if you feel it that there is, I think this is a good sign. It's not a guarantee, but it's a good sign that there is enough flexibility in this person. And you just something you learn from those 2 3 weeks of having conversations. I've for example,
Right.
I had a several occasions where I had to kind of pull out the term sheets when we already got to the
Right.
point when it wasn't the first date or second date, when it was kind of we started our relationship like to the next level. And you, like, right before signing the term sheet, you see that the person is just you know lost. That's it, like his flexibility ended after like a third meeting, and now it's like he's completely or she's completely inflexible, and that's where I usually pull out if that happens.
Right. No, I think that's really interesting. And so, how many investments would you say you've seen or played around with in your over your
Well,
career?
I have a portfolio of 25 plus companies that I actually like my teams
Wow.
and I invested. The overall, I would say, probably over this 8 years, probably several thousand companies. And honestly, to be honest, like that I actually like dug in deeply, I would say it's probably maybe 500 700. I don't know, a lot of like a lot of companies over these
Amazing.
years.
So what part of the cycle of venture capital would you enjoy most personally? So there's so many different moving pieces, right? And anybody who's gone through a cycle of fundraising knows that it's like a big roller coaster, both for the entrepreneur but also for the investor, from the deal sourcing to the diligence to the decision to then supporting the portfolio company. It's a whole balagan. So which part is your favorite?
So the favorite part is some kind of a exit. That's the favorite part for everyone, and when everyone is happy, and usually it's after the hard, like kind of hard track of difficulties, and all kind of things happen. Now,
Sure.
if you ask me about like more like early part, there is a joke between VCs. VCs say that the fun is over when you actually wire the money. That's one. So the part before that, yeah, the whole kind of getting to know the company, meeting the entrepreneurs, getting really kind of into what they're doing, and being, getting to know the entrepreneurs. I think this is the funnest part. This is the most enjoyable part. And specifically, sometimes you just click with the founders, with the entrepreneurs, and you. So for me, this is the people ability to kind of, become a part of their journey and be helpful to them, and meet, like, kind of
Right.
meet their world, because you meet those very very
Sure.
exciting people who are, like, they've done things, they're doing things, they're dreamers, they're executioners, and you kind of you get all this energy. This is the most exciting part. And also, that's where you decide for yourself how you can actually be helpful to the company, like what you can actually deliver. A lot of funds, a lot of VCs say, value add, and like, what do I'll make introductions, I'll bring your, more invest, help you raise money and so on. So, that's something that a lot of, well, like a lot of VCs can do, because everyone comes with some kind of, background and so on. Sometimes it's, it's when you connect to the CEO and you actually feel that you can help the CEO on specific tasks, like, the CEO comes to you and says, like, hey bro, I need help with, like, hiring this person. I can't fill this position for, like, for a while. Please help, like, help. That's what kind of makes you, feel like you're really part of this company, when you can solve specific issues and not just be,
Right.
like another person to make introductions.
No, no, that makes perfect sense. So if you're not looking at, young entrepreneurs that are starting their journey, perhaps they've never raised money from VCs, or they're now, they're reaching new rounds that they haven't reached before. So what advice would you give them as they're thinking, both in terms of, growing and scaling the company? And you've seen some companies scale with the in your portfolio, or, in terms of their communication with the venture capital partners.
The Okay, that's a good question. I would say, the first of all, it has to be, you have to realize that the raising money is not easy. It's just not, it's not a
Right.
simple process, and there will be a lot of discouragement, like, discouraging moments, when people will be saying, you'll get no after no, and also you will get multiple completely contradicting opinions from smart people.
Right.
You go to one smart VC and he tells you, like, hey, well, like, you're doing all this wrong. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And you'll go to another person and he'll tell you, like, completely opposite thing. So you have to be able to focus on, what you do, and, be kind of, again, flexibility. Listen to the people, get their feedback. Adjust a little bit, but keep your core. Don't, like, just don't go and change your, what do you do from, like, meeting to meeting. That's one thing.
How do you balance that? So how do you balance when, yeah, you're approaching two different VCs, both very reputable, but they're giving contradictory ideas, and you're sort of in the middle, because the whole power struggle at that point is the VC is more knowledgeable. They're assessing your validity, and if a VC tells you that you're doing something wrong, then you're questioning yourself. Another VC says that you're doing something right, then now you're confused as to how to approach this.
So I think first of all, the kind of, by default, like, by definition, I wouldn't say that the VC is, more knowledgeable or smarter than you. The VC is another entrepreneur, hopefully another entrepreneur who's just in a different stage in his life. And, that's the someone who, the VC, the good VC, is looking for a CEO for the company who is a leader, who can lead this opportunity. VC doesn't want to be, like, it doesn't want to lead this thing. Like, it's not, if I would be smart enough, I always say no, like, to entrepreneurs, I'm saying, guys, if I would know this better than you, so I would probably start this company. Like, why am I investing here? Because I trust you and in your judgment. So I think that's the point. That's the point. You have to be. there's a very thin border between, very thin line between being stubborn and kind of being, then next is being flexible, and next is being, completely all over the place. So like, I would
Right.
say this flexibility, when you do know what you're doing and you do believe in what the way you chose, but you understand that you probably do not know all the details, and there are other people who have experience that you have to acknowledge. So that's when it creates the healthy conversations. And sometimes VCs, the great VCs have wrong opinions. You know, every great VC, and not even so great, have a like a anti portfolio where they missed all, a lot of good companies. You know, so
Sure.
that's always happens.
Right. I think that almost every VC, that every venture capital partner that I met in Silicon Valley so far has this crazy story of how they passed on Airbnb or Lyft or one of those great companies when they were young, and now and then they reflect and they're thinking, okay, why did we miss them? And it's not like the VC knows everything and that you're able to assess amazingly the validity of a company. You also miss a good friend of mine passed on Airbnb on
Yeah,
its seed round.
completely.
So it's
Yep, that's the reality.
definitely. So now, exactly. Now you have young entrepreneurs that are looking to meet you, for example, that are raising money. What kind of advice, has just seeing a lot of other companies, would you give them specifically, saying these are the things that you should be focusing on in the early stages of your company? Maybe it's to go full throttle on fundraising, or maybe it's to find some balance. And how do they look for the right investors? What are some things that you think are really important?
So I always ask this question myself, as also as the entrepreneur, because I've raised money before for my companies,
Right.
and hopefully, if I start other companies, I will probably raise money again. So it's hard to judge from the position of the VC, but I think, like, when I kind of I'll speak of myself. When the entrepreneurs come to me in the early stage, they, first of all, I look for the acknowledgement that they don't know everything. When people come to me and they start, like,
Right.
laying out 3-year plan with, like, details and this, I'm like, whoa, guys, you haven't really started yet. How do you know what's going to happen then? And to my point,
Right.
the answer is, we don't really know, but that's what we expect, and that's what we're gonna go for. But so that's
Right.
the idea, is you have to build. I want to see that the entrepreneur thought through a lot of things really deeply, and they understand the challenges, the problems, and unknowns that they have in the way. So that's when I become.
Right. While keeping in mind that they don't know
Yep.
everything.
Yeah, because that's exactly, when because it's very strange to see an early stage company, like a seed company, comes to you and says, we're gonna, like, we have this 5 pilots in 3 months, gonna close, those 5 clients, and so on. So, and I always ask, so what happens if you guys
Right.
don't close? Yeah. So
Right. Right.
I would say that they're being realistic, and being visionary, but at the same time being realistic. It's a lot of contradicting things. Is something that kind of specifically speaks to me.
Right. I think to me, it sounds like you're looking for the visionary, and having the humility of knowing that while you might be a visionary, it's quite possible being visionary doesn't contradict being open minded and understanding that the vision can change according to the
Yep.
circumstances. Right now, you have information X, or you have X plus Y. That's a new world right there. Now you have to be visionary again and reinvent
Exactly. And
yourself.
another very important, the crucial thing is just, like, know your stuff. Meaning, when you speak
Yeah.
to a CEO that gives you this, the product. It usually happens when the CEO is a product person, not really a business person. You have a very
Hmm.
deep conversation about about the product and what it does and what it will do, and the vision, how it's going to change the world and going to change everything. And when you get to the, like, hard numbers, and just, okay, so let's talk about how we're going to make it happen. And
Right.
that's when it starts, oh, this is like my other co-founder did that, and like I don't know this number. You don't have to know everything, but you have to be able to operate your Excels and your financials, like the way you actually,
Right.
that you have it in your mind. So that's it gives you confidence about the CEO and about the co-founders.
I think there's a growing misconception almost that people believe that they're coming in for an interview. Like the VC is going to ask them as if it's on Shark Tank. They're going to ask them for these numbers and they're testing their memory to see whether they're serious or not. But that's not how it works. When you ask somebody for a number or like a forecast for something, it's not to test whether they memorize the number. It's an actual question, and if they give off a vibe that they're not owning the information and they don't understand the process of that maybe the other co-founder has done, it's fine that they did the work, but you need to understand the process and be able to take ownership of it, right? If you're
Sure.
representing the company,
Yeah.
and so I think that that is an interesting element. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great element, and it's just important because exactly what you said. You want to see, like, you want to understand this number. Like, you're as a VC, as a person who done business yourself, you understand that there is a very high probability that those numbers are incorrect for all different reasons. But you want to understand
Right.
that the person
Right.
understands how this actually forms, how that comes to life, and if the person understands it, then you can say, okay, this guy actually knows what to expect, and he'll be able to react,
Right.
so that's what you want to get.
Exactly. I love it, Levy. This has been so much fun. Unfortunately, we have to end. 20 minutes are over. But I have the most important question, which is three words that you would use to describe yourself.
I've been waiting for that. That's the the so first of all, thanks for giving me heads up for this, and I've been actually able to think about it. So the I would say this. I would say that I think when I think about myself, I think that about curiosity. I happen to be a very, I would say, non what's the word in English, the like I, not
Non-conventional.
the non like I don't like following the herd. I don't like following the crowd. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and the last thing I would say, probably pretty entrepreneurial, which sometimes actually is a negative
Yeah.
to be VC, because you get too passionate about things, and instead of
Yeah.
being a cold mine outside, you become one of the hot brains inside.
Levy, thank you so much. This was really great. Toda rabba. Stay safe and stay healthy until this
Yeah,
craziness is over.
let us all come out of it, better and stronger and healthier people. Make it, God help us all,
Definitely.
just to to stay safe through all this. Thanks, thanks, thanks for
Wonderful.
having me.